Welcome back, everybody. This is Brothermutant here. Today we're going to finish off talking about our variety of fixes that we have for spells using Reeron spell fixes and improvements. Now that pack has covered a variety of things. We've already talked about wizards in 3 separate videos because there were so many. We've talked about clerics now, and of course now we're talking about druids. And this still doesn't cover everything that's in that pack, guys. There's still a variety of spells and improvements for like invocations and things for warlocks. And again, I'm not going to cover those because A, I don't know enough about them, and B, I never seem to play them anyway. But by all means, tell me what you like about them. Tell me if you found something particularly interesting that could be exploited. Always good information. Now, just like we did with the cleric video, in this druid video, anything that's already been covered, which you can see here, I'm just going to run through the list, tell you what's been covered, and refer you back to the videos that either covered it either in the wizard videos or the cleric videos. And this, as you can see, quite a bit still here. There's not much left as a result, so this video should be reasonably short. So first off, let's just go through our list. Now, you've seen bull strength and mass bull strength, and again, I've talked about this for clerics in passing. It's in the wizard videos. Basically, the gist is they don't stack with themselves anymore, or you can't cast bull strength on yourself twice to get 2 buffs. Or drink a potion and bull strength and then cast bull strength on you. You get the idea. But it still will stack with other things, like when you have an enlarged person or righteous might, stuff that you saw that the wizards got or that the clerics got. Sadly, the druids don't have access to any of those. However, they do have access to all these forms, and if I'm not mistaken, all these forms is the native form. It's not a buff, it's just the stats, just like yours, just in a different shape. So you can use these to increase, for example, your bear form or your tree form or whatever you're going to go for. That's extremely nice because many of those buffs that you'll see you get from these different shapes are quite large. Some are quite pissy and useless. Anyway, let's go back into our other stuff here. Now we've covered Burst of Glacial Wrath in the Wizard's Pool, just to point it out to you. We've done Hypothermia already as a cleric. Of course, we've done all the mass cure spells and the cure spells in cleric. Slay Living in the clerics as well, a very good spell still. And again, since this is melee touch attack, to make the attack in the first place, you still do have to do a melee touch attack. Then it's the fortitude save or die. If I'm understanding that correctly, you still have to make contact with the target, so it's not an auto hit move. So the druid has a lot of, by the way, where it's going to hit and then they just roll their save. So that's important. Also, if it's going to crit or do sneak attack damage, obviously if they don't make the save, they just up and die, so who cares? But if they make the save, then you have the chance of doing more damage because of sneak attack damage, crit damage, and you get the idea. Storm of Vengeance we covered as clerics. Again, a very nice spell to begin with. Make sure you're alive to the end, because if you die, it goes away. Flame Strike changes, of course. Sleep we talked about for wizards. Resist elements or resist energy, which most people know it as. Gets the 24-hour buff now, so you don't see it in the scroll, but you'll see it in the actual. There you go, 24 hours. From there, all the summon creature spells, all the summonings of any kind really give you much more versatility. They got buffed, better damage, better armor class, better attack bonus, all that stuff hit points wise. They scale with you now basically, and you can have more than one out at a time, which of course is super OP for a druid. But again, if I were to do it, I'd make one slot like I would with my cleric, be like summon creature 1 through 9 if I was going to do that. And then if the poop hits the fan, summon multiples. But again, remember, you also get a pet as a druid, so the animal companion is the bomb. So, Contagion we've talked about, changes to the different diseases. Still a touch attack, still have to walk over and physically touch the person. Oh, let's see if I can show you that one. As you can see, a much bigger change. Multiple saves, and the multiple saves are, the first one is the DC for the spell, the second is the DC for resisting the disease a second time, so the DC will change, as you see, depending on which one you randomly got. So, still a very good spell, and very reliable, I'm finding. All the cure spells, of course. Death Ward was changed to be less time, not 1 hour per level anymore, it's 1 minute per level. Lesser Dispel, Dispel, and Greater Dispel are all been changed. We talked about those in Wizards. Extract Water Elemental we talked about as Wizards. Still a good spell. Firestorm we talked about as Clerics. Gust of Wind as Wizards. Harm and Heal as Clerics. Still a really good spell, and since this is a melee touch attack for Druids who don't have the highest BAB ever, you know, it's not horrible, but it's not going to be stellar like a Clerics who can buff it with a couple really good spells, you know, like Divine Power in and of itself will just make you the tits. You can get higher strength with some of these forms. Remind yourself of that when you're wanting to do those melee touch attacks. Gate is not a spell that Druids get, but this is to remind me of there's a new spell right here, Ice Lance, that we already discussed in Wizard School. And as you can see, it's a Druid spell as well. So anything that applies to the Wizard side that I already covered applies to the Druid side. Still a very good spell. Range touch attack, nice damage, half piercing, half cold damage. Really nice. Plus a little stun smack to it. Sneak attack, death attack is appropriate. You know, again, good spells. And again, keying off of your dexterity as it's a range touch attack. And there are a couple of shapes that have really nice dexterities of like 29, I think the air elemental does. Really nice then, being able to hit somebody like that. From there, notice that we've covered lesser restoration and restoration, and of course greater restoration. I put greater restoration here just to point out that Druids don't get it. Okay, so but the changes to lesser restoration and restoration are there. We talked about those as Clerics already. Same with poison. A very nice spell now. Instead of doing strength damage, it does constitution damage. It's a touch attack still. Really good damage. Can kill a guy real quick. And it's a minute later that you really see the effects. I mean, the first one will hit them, they'll fail their save, they'll screw them over pretty bad, but then like a minute later you'll be fighting them or somebody else on the screen and you'll just see massive, you did 240 some points of damage to a target and you're wondering what the heck did you just do? It's the poison the second hit. And it took them down to 0 constitution and just flat out killed them. Very cool spell. Wall of Fire, of course, we talked about it as well. The only real change to point out is that there's a issue with the caster level linking up with the actual physical manifestation of it. Now you can dispel it appropriately because of that fix. So again, those are all the ones we've already covered. That's quite a bit. Certainly not as much as the Wizards or the Clerics for that matter. But they do have their own unique ones, or ones that are them/Rangers. And again, anything that we already covered that would fit another class, Paladins count, Rangers and Bards count, the changes would be applicable to them too, guys. And I'm not going to do separate videos for all of them because that would just take forever. But these would basically be the bulk of the spells, is between the Clerics, the Wizards, and the Druids. That pretty much covers our bases, more or less. So now let's actually get into it, shall we? So, okay, Infestation of Maggots has been upgraded to work more like pen and paper because it actually is a disease. Immunity to disease now kicks in. So let's actually go look at this to see if it's in the tooltips here at all. Yeah, here we go. Infestation can now be removed with a remove disease or a heal spell. So again, more information in the tooltip, which you know I love. You touch your foe, so this is going to be a touch attack more likely than not. Yeah, successful melee touch attack. You infest a creature with maggot-like creatures. If the touch creature fails a fortitude save, magical maggots deal 1 to 4 constitution damage each round at the beginning of your turn. And it can last for many turns, guys. The subject makes a new fortitude save each round to negate the damage in the round and end the effect. So as you can see, the more you fail, the more your constitution goes down, the more likely you are to fail because your fortitude's going to suck. Because it's keying off of your constitution. So this is a cascading effect of screw you over. So really nice spell, and I can see a use for this one now, especially if you have a high strength, i.e. a high melee touch attack. This could really easily land in combat. Now, the downside is in physical combat that you're up front and everybody in your face, 9 times out of 10 those guys are going to have high fortitude saves anyway. So again, you can see the problem. But all you have to do is get it to work once to really start nerfing their hit points, right? And even if they make the save in the 2nd round or the 3rd or 15th round, whatever, doesn't matter. You're continually damaging their hit points and their constitution as a result. So it's really nice spell, I'd say. Jagged Tooth we talked about yesterday, but I'm going to reinstall the importance of this one. As you can see, druids can use this, and I'll actually call out my pet. Okay, so this one's working now appropriately, so let's actually prove it to you. Here's my stats for my pet. I'm going to cast this on. Notice how he does a critical on a natural 20. He has 3 attacks, one that's probably a bite, 2 that are claw swipes. His abilities aren't pimp. You know, I'll have summonings that are better than this guy, which is kind of a shame. But I can have all kinds of spells that can only affect your animal companion as far as I know. Things like Nature's Avatar and blah blah blah. These ones will skyrocket things like the attack bonus, their damage, their strength, their wisdom even, and make them a much more formidable opponent. So I'm cool with that. Now I'm going to cast this one on him just so I can show it to you. There you go. 19 and 20, so you doubled the range. As far as I could tell from all the pets that I checked online, the ones that you can make as an animal companion anyway, they all seem to be only critting on a natural 20. Now I didn't check the dragon one, and I didn't check the dinosaur one because I never seem to pick either. And they're good, they're not that they're bad. The dinosaur one's quite cool, but I can't seem to make myself pick it since I know you should never really be able to have that particular pet in D&D. Yeah, not never, I suppose, but you'd have to have a really lenient DM to allow something like Dinosaur Companion. But the point is you double the range. So if they have a higher range than this, like say that this was their range normally, this spell would make it 17, 18, 19, and 20 then. So again, a much needed spell for increasing the damage output. From there, we had Storm Avatar's change. Does 3d6 electrical damage, and it actually was that way on this scroll. Applies the electrical bonus to weapon even if it has other elemental enchantments already on it. Now whether this was happening with this I couldn't say, because I never seemed to get this high and never had an elemental weapon on. So it should be additive though now. Fix the movement speed increase. Instead of being 200% normal speed, that means you're supposed to be twice as fast. So what it did was it was giving you plus 200%, so it's making you 3 times as fast. So you're a little bit slower now, but it's still more pen and paper. Fix the magic duration for extended spell, so you can actually extend this one now. As it's level 8, you can make it a level 9, and I can prove that to you. As you can see right here, extended spell, Storm Avatar. So very nice. Effect does not stack with haste, expeditious retreat, or similar spells. That's referring to the movement, so you can't make yourself so incredibly zippy, just cruising all over the place. But everything else should be what pen and paper gives you. Tortoise Shell has been changed. This one was having an issue where it was not capped at +9, because again, when they originally made this scroll, this spell, the highest you could get was 20, so +9 at 20th level was the cap. They unlocked, of course, epic levels, letting you get to 30, and even some persistent worlds now will even let you go up to, I think, 40 is one of the higher ones I've ever seen. So that's possible too. Well, that was causing this to literally go higher and higher and higher. Reeron capped it at the +9 because that's more pen and paper. So that's the only real change here worth mentioning. Now, I have one that's actually not on the list, and I just have it here as a little side note to myself to remind me to tell you guys about this one. The Flame Weapon, a really nice spell to begin with. This one will turn your weapon to flame and allow you to do elemental fire damage for every swing, along with whatever damage it was doing in the first place. And again, it will stack with like your Storm Avatar, giving you the electrical damage too. An enchanted magical weapon that already does cold damage, for example, will do cold and fire damage now because of the buff. It's a good spell and lasts a long time, as you can see, even in its natural form. I'm talking compared to like extended versus persistent, but still, the point is it's useful. Now, you can actually cast it on your wild forms. The downside of some of these buffs that you're going to see, though, is it only works for like the second weapon attack, which is kind of sucky. So, if you have a character or a sheep, much like your pet would be a good way to demonstrate this, much like your pet, and I can actually buff him with this too. And you'll see it. Matter of fact, let's just do that so you can see what I'm talking about. You'll see it down in here in his explanations. See the second weapon? The first one is a bite, the second one's a claw. Turns into fire damage as well, and it's the third claw doesn't mean anything. So he has one paw on fire. Now why it does that, I don't know. Clearly it's a glitch. It should be for all the attacks, or like just the 2 claw attacks if you really want to be really specific, because why would his bite on fire? But you get the point. It doesn't work for everything, but it is a good way to give some extra damage to your pet or yourself in your altered form. That's why I bring it up. And again, can be useful for taking out those, trolls that are fire susceptible to death, right? Aura of Vitality has been upgraded. The radius size has changed from colossal to large, so it's not an upgrade so much as it's a nerf. Aura of Vitality has been nerfed. As you'll see, the colossal that you see in the scroll, 6 seconds per level, armless, no, the +4 physical stats, which is nice, has been changed to a large size and only affecting 1 creature for every 3 levels. Now, is this really that big a deal? Not really. I mean, at the level you're getting this, see a druid level 7 spell, you'll be able to get it at level 13, so that's already 4 critters that you can affect. And that probably includes you and your team of 3 people, right? So as long as we're not talking about buffing pets and blah blah blah, the team of 4 should already be able to get the buffs. It's not that big a deal. Still lasts the same. Why they have this in here? Because there should be no will negating it, because it's a harmless spell. Same with the spell resistance, it's a harmless spell buffing you, so it should be nothing for either of these. But the point is you still get the +4 strength, dexterity, and constitution. And again, I don't think these stack with other spells, but that'll be something that we should check when we get finished here. See if both strength and it buff us, because that would be a nice +8 to a physical attribute, right? Bark skin's been changed, and I think for the better. It's more pen and paper, and you're not going to like it, but I'm fine with it. Everything moving towards pen and paper. You notice this ridiculous duration. This would be a spell that, again, set and forget at the beginning of your day. By the time you get high enough level, you're really lasting the entire day with this spell. You don't even need to extend it, because it's an hour per level. Very nice. The buffs you get, +3, +4, +5 to armor class. It's fine, as +5 being the highest, but it was never supposed to be +3 at the initial. So as you can see here, +2 enhancement. It's only 1.5 minutes per level. Now how they get this, they describe it in the fact pack, but basically they did halfway between 1 minute and 1 hour. What that means is it's not 1.5 minutes, but it's supposed to be somewhere in between. Now I think they have in the game 10-minute level spells, 10-minute per caster level spells. I even think there's a couple in there that might even be a half hour, so this may be before they implemented those things, so they didn't pick one of those for some reason, because it was supposed to be, I think, 10-minute per level. But still, it's not 1 minute per level. It'll be better than that. That's why you see the 1.5. But again, it starts you off at +2. Eventually you work your way all the way back up to the +5. The enhancement bonus rival Barkskin stats with a target's natural armor bonus, but not with other enhancement bonuses to natural armor. So this is obviously like your null necklaces and stuff. A creature without natural armor has an effective natural armor bonus of +0. Much as a character wearing only normal clothing has an armor bonus of 0. So this is their way of explaining what it does. So again, for those of you that have Yuan-Ti, I think, to get the +1 natural armor class bonus as an innate bonus, you're going to get this bonus added to it. So that's nice. So it's not overriding it, like you're wearing some kind of special gear. That would be different. So I like that. So let's see if there's anything else here. Yeah, this was supposed to be a 10-minute per level spell, but apparently they didn't have the ability to do that back when Reeron made this change, which is fine. I'm not saying that it's a bad thing, but they did their best. It's not 1 minute, it's not 1 hour. They made it halfway between, which is why it's 1.5 minutes in the tooltip. Now, what that actually equates to, that could be 10 minutes in game per caster level for all I know. So it's definitely not 1.5 minutes. It's just their way of explaining it. So from there, bombardment has been changed. The radius size has been changed to 15-foot radius, large as per pen and paper. So we have huge here. Let's go find it. Versus large here. So you see that difference right off the bat. From there, they increased max damage to 20d8 and removed spell resistance. That's a big, huge buff for you guys. Spell resistance, yes, versus spell resistance, no, now. And it makes sense, because it is a conjuration. You're being physically hit with meteors, or whatever the heck this boulders are supposed to be. how could spell resistance protect you from a physical rock smacking you upside the head? So I'm cool with that, and I think it's a much needed way for druids to protect themselves from those opponents that may have spell resistance on them, right? From there, what else did they change? Oh, this is a cool one. I tested this earlier. It no longer applies a knockdown. Okay, so for those that are immune to knockdown, you had that going for you with the vanilla version. However, what they did do was it's supposed to simulate you being buried, because that's what bombardment does. You get basically encrusted with boulders and everything, and you're basically smothered by the things. So how they do that is they do the cutscene. So you basically turn jet white. Anyone that's caught with this and immobilized will have this happen to them, and you can't do squat. No casting, no moving, no nothing. You're just entombed, and that's the way they do it. Now it looks silly in that you're basically standing straight up, and you're jet white. All your characters, even your friends, can be targeted with this. The bad guys too. So this kind of sucky, but nothing you can do about that except for make your save. Every round you do a DC 20 strength check to simulate you basically being digging yourself out of being buried alive, basically. Every round you basically retry if you don't succeed. Once you succeed, you're done. While buried, though, you are immune to everything, so this is kind of nice. All effects are applied as supernatural, so resting and dispel magic can't remove them. All effects wear off after 1 minute max, so players on persistent worlds aren't stuck for insanely long time if they have low strength. And again, that makes sense, and I'm glad that they even thought of that, because it's one of those where the game's still supposed to be fun, right? Change save type to spell for your reflex save, so it's reflex save versus spell, so that your ranks and spellcraft are taken into account, and that's a much needed increase, I think. There's another one here that's not on my list. It's not a spell, but it's right next to this one, so I need to mention it. The breath weapon for Dragon Companion, again, one that I didn't pick. Each target now has damage calculated individually. Now uses pen and paper correct DC calculation for breath weapon. Lightning breath weapon now shows the visual effect. The size of breath weapon is based on the age and color of the dragon, and the shape of the breath weapon is based on the dragon color. You can have a dragon companion of these various colors, apparently. Red, green, blue. So red dragons and green dragons use a cone, while blue dragons use a cylinder, right? That's a line because it's electrical attack. So the green dragon and the red dragon have the cone, and that's actually even not supposed to be right, because if I remember correctly, green dragons are supposed to be a poison cloud, right? So, but this probably wasn't an available choice. So, the best they could do. Creeping Doom now uses pen and paper. It's an auto hit, so no attack roll. Kind of loving that. To do 2d6 damage plus poison, and there is going to be a save for that. While in the AoE, as per pen and paper, DC 13 poison check for a 1d4 dexterity damage on both the initial damage and the secondary damage a minute later, like most poisons do. Daze, DC 13 fortitude check and heartbeat script. Nauseated, as per pen and paper. Distraction is what they basically list that as. So DC 20 spell failure check. If failed, you can't cast spells. That's nice. And this is a not team friendly spell. Be really careful with this one. It's level 7 spell, so you're gonna be a pretty skilled caster by that point anyway, but still. Both the distraction and the spell failure only last 1 round. Both checks are made every round while in the AoE, so again it installs itself the very next round to be basically staying in this. Let's see, caster levels now stored with the AoE for proper dispel magic. Let's see what else we have. This will not hurt incorporeal creatures, and again those are your ghost types. I don't know, and this is what I keep mentioning, is for those of you that are interested, as a wizard type, I think there's a couple spells out there that turn you ethereal. Basically you take no damage. I would assume that's applicable here, so you should check that if you can. Let's see what else. Duration doesn't follow pen and paper as 1 minute per level. Is way too long. So they kept it to 1 round per level. So the duration of 18 seconds is no longer the case. It's actually much better than that. So let's show it to you. Yeah. 1 swarm per 2 levels. So that's nice. When you utter the spell, 2d6 of damage to any living creature within the effect. Maximum of 10 swarms. That's huge. No spell resistance, no save. That's actually clearly a typo. It must be referring to the damage for that part. But again, as you can see, a much needed fix to Creeping Doom. Drown has been fixed, and this one is going to be a very boring one. Transmutation to Conjuration in spells. So, level 6. Yeah, it's now a Conjuration. And that's only obviously important for those of you that are getting those feats that give you bonuses to schools, right? You know, like the ability to penetrate, spell resistance, and what have you. Obviously, you wouldn't want to be hoping to buff your transmutation and having it affect Drown now. It'll only be working if you're buffing Conjuration, so that's important. Still a great spell, a massive damaging spell if they basically fail that Fortitude save. Doesn't work on everything, but the ones that do work on, 90% decrease to their hit points. Poof, that's a nice one. So you can see that people are going to like that. Greater Magic Fang they fixed. Shame they didn't do this with the blade weapon, but same issue that you were seeing. Magic Fang, Greater Magic Fang will be the same. Same thing that you're seeing with my pet, not having a flame attack, but only on the one, right? This was one that now Greater Magic Fang will apply it to 2 of his 3 abilities. So let's actually show you that. Yeah, the physical damage that you see there, damn. And it's silly because it's Magic Fang, not Magic Claw, but it's the 2 claw attacks that's going to get the buff. I don't care. I'm still happy with the buff. And the same would apply for Magical Fang, but obviously you can't stack the 2. You only get 1 casting of it. It's kind of like Greater Weapon or Greater Magic Weapon or Magic Weapon, right? You go with the best one you have. What else did they say about that? Oh, here, this is good. Now, this isn't pen and paper perfect, but it takes care of the problem with creature attacks not always following their correct progression, because they won't do first attack, second attack, third attack, first attack, second attack, third attack. They'll do first, second, first, third, first, second. You know, they'll bounce around all over the place. So this is why they did what they did. Also, and this is where it's going to be really important for a druid, now works with druid elemental shape forms. Considered outside or not elemental for some reason. I don't know why that is. And also dragon shape form, which again I don't have. Added in racial type elemental as one of the creature types that can be affected by the spell, so that's nice. Range change from touch to short, so you don't have to walk over and physically touch your pet. You can cast it at a little bit of a range. That's also good. Duration is now 1 hour per level, and enhancement bonus is +1 per 4 caster level. It's increasing the damage, then do squat to his attack bonus though, so that's kind of a bummer, I'd say, because I'm used to, you know, magical weapon getting a bonus to attack bonus and damage bonus, right? So, but whichever, at least it's something. From there, we had only magic weapon, and again, this is going to be the same thing. Yeah, Magic Fang has been changed to include Cadence check for plant and magical beasts, and again, that's going to be a form that you can get to later on. Plant I can get to, so this will be something that would work on me in my plant form, so that's going to be useful. Now that covers everything for the druid. However, I made a list of touch attacks for druids, or stuff that I would assume was touch attacks, and it turns out they were not. So I want to actually share this with you guys, okay? So let's give you some for instances. We've already talked about things like the cure spells being touch attacks for undead. That's all still applicable here. Same with harm and heal being touch attacks if you're used as an attack, obviously. Other ones, though, are things like Ice Lance, which we talked about in the wizard class. It's a very nice touch attack from range. Infestation of Maggots and Poison are both melee touch attacks. Slay Living is a melee touch attack. And that's pretty much it. Everything else I found, guys, seems to be auto hit moves. Now what that means is they'll do like damage. I'll give you a for instance. This one will do damage guaranteed, and then from there, if there is a save to it, you have to resist something, you know, like a poison effect or whatever, there'll be a save roll for that, but the damage will always be there. This one, there is nothing. It's a straight up awesome spell. It just doesn't do that much damage. 11 to 22 single target damage, but you do heal from it too, so it's kind of nice. It's a touch move, so you would assume touch attack. Turns out that's not the case, and I can demonstrate that to you. So let's actually do it. Boom.
No me caporos.
Yeah, see? And it's negative energy damage, which is something that druids don't get a lot of, so this would be a spell that I would probably want to keep, just in case there was something that was resistant to your other stuff. Let's see what else I have for you, though. There's things like, what's another really good one? Contagion did not seem to be a touch attack. Oh, I had it in there, probably got rid of it because of the pet thing. We'll do that here when we rest here in a moment. We'll come back to that. Hypothermia, dehydrate, all those seem to be straight up save throws, but they'll still take damage, which is nice. Creeping cold too, which I have, so let's slap on one of those. Nice spell for just damage for 3 rounds. It's steadily increasing, so there's low damage, medium, high. And as you can see, there's a fortitude save versus cold to basically cut that damage in half. And he'll take another smack of that in another round. One of them, and there's got one more round of that coming, guaranteed. That's one thing I do like about those spells is they're like dots. You know, they show up and then they're there and they stay on them. Just like this one, which is basically just extending it to, in this case, 5 rounds for me because I'm not level 20 yet as far as caster level. If I was level 20 caster level, you'd see 6 rounds of 1d6, 2d6, all the way up to 6d6 damage of cold, so it just steadily progresses up and up and up. And the fortitude just cuts the damage in half. Now, whether there's spell resistance each round, I don't know. I would assume that it's just a one roll and that's it, but whatever. Point is, it's still a pretty good spell, but it's an auto-hit spell. There's no, gee, I hope I hit with my low, crappy-ass strength or dexterity. No, it's going to hit them, which is kind of nice. You know, druids get a lot of really good auto-kick-your-ass spells like that. Other stuff, though, Quill Fire is an auto-hit spell for the damage component. It is a fortitude save for the poison component. So, and a no spell resistance. So if you really need to hit somebody with some damage, again, here's another spell that will do some guaranteed damage and a possible poisoning of the bastard. Not a bad idea. Other stuff that I liked was Moonbolt. Oh, this one you guys are just going to drool over. Maximize or empower this one if at all possible, I would suggest. This one's an auto-hit move. As you see, unerringly against any living undead. So it's a guaranteed strike. There's no spell resistance to it, and supposedly that is true. There is a fortitude save to cut the effect in half for living targets, and for undead targets, they get a will negates the target effect because it's a pretty nasty one for undead. But look at this spell. Moonbolt, it takes 1 to 4 points of strength damage per 3 caster levels, maximum 5 to 20, guys. 5 to 20 strength decrease on a target. Now, I'm assuming this is one of those, again, where they will not let you take it below 1, but that's still a huge decrease, even against something like a wizard. No spell resistance and a guaranteed hit. Make that little wizard crawl his happy ass over to you because his robes are too heavy. Yeah, screw you, wizard boy. I would love this spell. Now, of course, a fortitude save, so against the fighter types, strength damage is halved, but still, even if he's 5, cutting down to, let's just round down and say 2, and that's on a bad roll, you still took away one of his attack bonuses and 1 point of his damage per attack. Still worth doing, and if you maximize this, again, guaranteed hit. A maximum 20, even if he makes that save, he's still losing 10 strength, guys. That's a big game changer. I would see this getting a lot of use in my loadout. For a spirit shaman, I would definitely take this. This wouldn't even be a question about do I want it. It's an auto hit move. Yes, please. For undead, now watch this. Struck by Moonbolt, they get a will save or fall helpless for 1 to 4 rounds, at which time they are no longer helpless, can stand up, but take a -2 penalty to attack rolls and more will saving throws for the next minute. Yeah, go fighting vampires all day long, nuking those little sons of bitches. I could totally see this being a lot of fun. So again, Moonbolt for the win. From there, other ones that I thought was cool, auto hit move called Inferno. I would assume this would be, because it's just way too OP. I would assume this would make this, as it has a ranged touch attack, but apparently not. There is no save for this, guys. There is spell resistance. Again, I haven't checked this, but notice the duration, 1 round per level. So if you are a straight druid, 30. That's 30 times it's going to do 2 to 12 points of fire damage. That's 2 to 12, guys, and you can maximize this spell. I think you can even extend it, but I don't know that the extended works. You know, it lets you cast it. Matter of fact, I can just tell you if it's going to give you the option. Yeah, you can extend it according to this. Now, whether that actually works or not, and what I mean by that is that yes, I can put it in the slot, yes, I can cast it, and yes, it'll burn you for a number of rounds. If it's double the number of rounds, I don't know, because everything dies before that. So you get the idea. But again, still, it's another casting of it. That would be the way I would look at it, not just that it's extended for more damage, because who's really going to want to wait around for 60 rounds to burn something like that? It's there, and for those big fights, it could really help for something that's susceptible to it. And the fact that it can do upwards of 12 points of damage, to me that's nice, because lots of things have fire resistance. There's some DR of 5 or even 10. Very few things that have 15 or 20. So again, this 12 will guarantee that sometimes there's going to be some damage hitting that guy, and every little bit helps. But an auto hit move, yeah, please, that's a really nice spell. I can't test this next one because I don't have the proper target, but Crumble, I think, based on it, because I tried to cast it on the enemy here, it only works against constructs, but it didn't show me any kind of range or melee touch attack on it, so I think it's an auto hit move as well. No save, no spell resistance, guaranteed damage, but only to a construct. Now, are you going to come into constructs all the time? I can't say as you would, but I could see having this in my loadout once as a druid. For a spirit shaman, I'd be more inclined to zap that little bastard with something that's going to guarantee damage to other targets. And again, just like Drown doesn't do squat against constructs or undead, things that don't need to breathe are pretty much resistant to this spell. But for everybody else that's breathing out there, 90% of their hit points, that's a big whooping. And it's an auto hit move. Where is it? Where's my Drown? Yeah, it's an auto hit move, but the fortitude negates it. So it's one of those where you'll either see them taking damage or nothing at all. So, I don't know if I like that, but it's for what it does. You'll know quickly if it connected, so that's cool. From there, harm and heal, of course, you can't say enough good things about them. They are melee touch attacks, though. Also, here's harm. Matter of fact, let's just do it to the guy so you can see how much damage I do to him. Oh, there's a big 150, guys, because it's maxed out for me, right? It's only 10 points per caster level, and I'm maximum caster level as far as the game's concerned for that spell. So that's, you know, if you lined up 4 of those in your tray, that's 600 points of damage you're doing to a target where they don't get to do squat about it, right? And just to prove that to you, there's a will save just for cutting it in half. There is spell resistance to it, and there is a melee touch attack. But again, as we've told you before, you build for it the proper way. You're going to have a high strength anyway, using one of your forms, or even just some of your buffs, you know, your bull strength or your aura of vitality. So there's all kinds of good stuff here. Other than that, there wasn't much else to point out to you guys. There's ones that I can't check, like the game's immune to it and it doesn't seem to do anything. Animal trance, which it doesn't seem to have a save to it, so that's nice, I suppose. Reduce animal, I thought was going to be actually a good spell. Kind of was bummed when it wasn't. I assumed that this would be something you'd cast on a bad guy to nerf the piss out of him. You know, decreases damage and all that good jazz. But apparently it's only your pets. Or at least I can't cast it on this guy for some reason. One animal or beast, and I can basically, you know, nerf their strength and their damage output by 3 points a round. That's a huge decrease. Now they get some other good stuff for their being smaller. It's harder to hit them and blah blah blah, but it's more of a nerf as far as I'm concerned. So I would have tried to use it on animals attacking me, but I apparently can't use it on this guy. Now, if he's considered an animal, maybe that's the key here. So it may still be useful in game. And as you remember from my other videos, there's a lot of spells that they now say, like heal, for example, will not reduce animal or reduce creature effects. So up to you. There's still a lot of good stuff though, and now let's actually just whoop on this guy real quick so I can do a couple other quick checks for you. Like, here's a finger of death for you, you sons of a bitch. Give you the stank finger. And there's a crit, as you saw too. Casting Finger of Death. Finger of Death, save versus death, failure. You stink. Very nice. And that appeared to be an auto hit move, guys, so that's cool too. So again, a lot of good stuff here. Oh, let's look at that. Yeah, save or die, or they take damage. Now, I could have sworn that Finger of Death was another one of those kind of like Slay Living, but just kind of at range. You know, short range versus... Where's my Slay Living? Did I take it? Yeah, here we go. Versus this one, which is a touch version of the same spell, right? But this is an actual touch attack, and I can prove it by level 5. By casting it on the pet here. Poor kitty. And you see, touch attack, right? So why the other one wasn't a ranged touch attack, I don't know. And I don't care. So, as a result, then that doesn't mean you're probably getting all those ranged touch attack wonderfulness from it, you know, the creating and the sneak attack damage. And again, one of the reasons I went 3 levels in a row, so I'd have some sneak attack damage just in case. Now, obviously, those ones like Ice Lance that do sneak attack, they still apply for druids, just like they did for my wizards. And now let's rest. I wanted to check a couple of things, right? Aura of Vitality, level 7. Okay, I need to do that. And I do want to show you, just because it's a really good spell, Creeping Doom now. Swamp Lung won't work on that bad guy because he's immune to the effect for some reason. I don't know what that's about. And just do I'll do harm. And from there I already have full strength, so take a knee. I want to see if they stack. That's basically what we're doing here, because they seem to stack with everything else, right? So that's kind of the nice thing. But I don't think they gave that much thought into buffing the druids. +4. There's my +4 strength. I'll even do Cat's Grace too, because Aura of Vitality does 3 of them, right? So let's see what it does. So 16, 18, 12 becomes... Yeah, they don't stack. So it just gave me the Constitution, what was remaining. But that's fine. I suppose. Kind of a bummer. So with that though, my name's Brothermutant. Please like, subscribe, comment down below. Again, I do apologize for the length. We will trim it as much as possible. But with that, I'll see you guys soon. Bye.